Few things in this world bring me greater joy than seeing arrogant people meet their downfall. I remember watching MasterChef for the first time and seeing these contestants just pouring their hearts out to make a great dish. And one of the judges, this bald bastard, Joe Bastinash, he would just take big, massive number three on everything people made. This guy was such a smarmy little pretentious prick. And it really just tickled my T20s when I saw the collective internet bash this guy online, just revealing him to be the horrible, gaping asshole that he really was. One may even say watching such flops is like appreciating the delicate fragrances of a fine wine. Like, yes, the vicissitudes of this grape elixir bring forth hints of photosynthesis according to my esteemed hypothesis. I don't know. I never liked pretentious know-it-alls. Like I remember this one time I saw this video in a class that I was in. It was talking about fermentation and wine. And in the video, there was like this, those wine guys. He was talking about how you can tell how nice a wine would taste by licking the acidity of the soil or some shit. Like, I don't remember everything. All I remember was he was just eating the freaking dirt. Like, but it wasn't gross according to his Olympian palate because it was like soil, not dirt. But yeah, that's neither here nor there. I'm gonna be talking about the best of the best when it comes to the pretentious kinds of people, the alpha wolves of conceit, the ligma males. I'm talking about Reddit college maxers. Now, for those of you guys who are new here, a college maxer is someone who does everything they can to get accepted into a top school, sometimes at the cost of their own sanity. This usually means taking on an insane amount of extracurriculars, losing sleep just to maintain a 4.0 GPA, and sometimes, even if they're really evil, they'll cheat with fake nonprofits or even sabotage their friends. Oh, and a quick intro. I'm Bagpipe. I'm a college consultant who helped people get into top schools like most recently MIT, Brown, Duke, Stanford, Harvard, and UC Berkeley. So if you guys want help with admissions, just feel free to reach out via email in the description box. But yeah. Anyway, this tale comes from Reddit's Am I the Asshole sub. So gather around the campfire, pick a nice bean chair, and pick your favorite color of crayon to chew on. So yeah, it's gonna be good. Am I the asshole for laughing at my brother when he got rejected from every college? This happened a couple months ago, but I discovered this sub now. I'm wondering. My younger brother was applying to colleges this past admission cycle. He applied exclusively to top schools, Ivies, Stanford, MIT, CMU, etc. His safety was Berkeley because he felt confident he'd get into a top school due to being valedictorian and winning a few debate competitions. My parents asked me to help his application because I got into a few of those schools last year. I don't think that makes me an expert, but from getting in and meeting lots of others that did too, all I can say is it's completely fucking random. I've met Olympians, kids who've published full-length novels, kids who run successful companies. I've also met kids who have essentially good grades and normal extracurricular activities. So essentially, there's no formula to guarantee that you'll get in, and it's always common sense to apply to actual safeties. I told him this, but he laughed this off and said, unlike me, his application's good enough not to need to apply to safeties. I said, fine, his funeral. He ended up getting rejected by every college he applied to, had to scramble to apply to colleges with rolling admissions dates, and ended up having to go to community college for 2 years. I heard this when I came home to visit during summer break. Given the context of him being so arrogant about his application and denigrating mine, Jesus Christ, I found it incredibly funny. So I started laughing about it. He got angry and called me an a-hole for laughing at him instead of being supportive. I honestly think he had it coming. Am I the asshole? You know, if you think about it, this shit is like a Darman video. Like, it sounds so perfectly manufactured in its format. Like, arrogant brother refuses to apply to safeties, lives to regret it. But, the funny thing is, like, this is actually true. This shit happens all the time, even from what I've seen. Like, you'd expect the real world to have a little more nuance, right? But, like, no, people are actually crazy enough to do this shit. They get this idea that they're like the pinnacle of like human intelligence and human intellect. And therefore, they're just absolutely impervious to bad luck or externalities, such as the admissions officer rejecting you because they were just like angry that day. It's not like it was centuries ago when they were processing college apps during the Stone Age. It's way harder now. As a general rule, top schools that start to go north of something like, I don't know, like T35s, that's like top 35 of the US News and World Report, by the way, are like the event horizon of a black hole. You start to get to the zone where things get weird. And from then on, there's no going back to normalcy. The admissions chances that were once measurable via GPA, SATs, extracurriculars, and essays is now thrown into absolute chaos. It becomes arbitrary conjecture. You're going in blind. Of course, this is like the broad brushstrokes version of it. I get it, but nonetheless, the point still stands. Even for top students, Berkeley is not a safety. Believing so is just absolute buffoonery. To be fair, though, I'm not going to blame him too hard, okay? You want to know why? Because these cases of overestimation often come from strict tiger parents. It's usually the parents who are college maxing, man. They see these top schools and they just salivate at the thought of all the prestige they'll get from their children going to an Ivy League school. So they just, they just pressure them to go into it, right? Even if it's not suitable for them, even if they can't afford it. By the way, I made a separate video on college maxing parents, which you can check out here. But yeah, anyway, I'm not going to focus on the Olympians and novel writers part. So to be honest, a lot of people who say they wrote novels and started profitable businesses, they're liars. Just like straight up. There are a lot of people who rely on their parents to help them, especially with things like starting nonprofits and creating successful small business projects. Those people who published a bajillion novels, think of ChatGPT, right? What is that for? Nonetheless, there's still some very solid students out there who are legit, who could still get cut below the knees. It's brutal. You got to be kind of humble in this admissions climate as a result of that. That's why when you're aiming for top schools, you hedge your risk, shotgun your college list. Also, I know what some of you guys are probably going to be thinking, right? Bagpipe. Randomness can't be the only factor, right? Why do smart kids like him still get rejected? You know, I'm going to feel like a total asshole for saying this, but, I'm just going to say it. I think his personality probably bled through his essays. What very, very likely. This might be hyperbole, okay? But the thing is, like, okay. Like, these people, man, I don't know how to describe this, okay? But, like, they're like snakes, okay? They think they're slick and they can get away with this like 10,000 IQ genjutsu that they cast on their admissions officers. But if you really read the essays for more than like 2 seconds, you start to see all the cracks in their personality. They just reveal themselves to be the imposters that they really are. They're not actually passionate about speech and debate, and they're not actually passionate about helping people. They're just college maxers, at least like most of them are, and according to what OP says, right? Like it sounds like it's the case. But like lastly, I'm gonna be real, man. I have no sympathy for this guy, right? Like I know, this is this is such a oh my god, bagpipe, you're so brave kind of take, right? But like I've been noticing these days in the modern admissions climate, like we're expected to have like sympathies for these people for some reason, right? But it's like, why on earth should I have empathy for these people? It's exactly the arrogant know-it-all types who start to have this whole, oh, woe is me, you should be feeling sorry for me attitude. It's like, hell no. You know for an absolute fact that if these guys actually got accepted into their top choices, they wouldn't have sympathy at all. They'd be the first ones to look down on everyone. But I mean, like, this isn't really anything new to you guys, probably. I just still, I think I'll try to end this with at least one bit of advice so you guys can at least take away something, okay? Aside from applying to more safeties, which you guys probably already know, I think it's really important to adopt a stoic way of thinking with these things. Because, like, as I said, admissions at the top level is just so unpredictable these days. You could do everything perfectly and still get the short end of the stick. And in any case, if you guys were like the OP of this Reddit post during this year's admission season and you wanted to like I don't know, like absolve yourself of sin or something and make a comeback during the transfer admission season, like hey, yeah, like I'll give you a story that might make you feel better, okay? I had a guy who was rejected by every school and actually wasn't accepted into any top program until he applied as a transfer. He got into U Chicago for econ. Now, here's the strange thing. He went to a pretty cutthroat school, but he was still like super smart. His grades and his test scores already put him at the top percentile, yet he was still rejected from practically everywhere except for safeties. Keep in mind, people who had similar stats as him still got into top schools. There were even people who had decent but still lower grades than he did who were also accepted, ECs and awards considered. So, he kind of got the short end of the stick there. We eventually worked together again during the transfer admission season, and that eventually helped him for U Chicago. And honestly, he didn't even do anything all that different. Like he was just like still a decent student. So seriously. Oh, you know what else? I know other people in the college admissions industry who are doing the same shit as me, right? They said the same shit. They're like, yeah, man, our applicant got rejected practically everywhere, but we chillin'. Next year comes around and they're like, oh, let's just do some of this and some of that, oh my God, wow, would you look at that? Dartmouth and UVA. Like, there's hope out there for you guys, okay? Repent for your sins. But seriously, the amount of randomness mired in this process can make it pretty confusing. So don't be spiritually attached to your expectations or anything. Just do the best you can, then detach. Work hard, detach. Well, that's about it for you guys. If you guys have any questions about college admissions or need anything like college app services, feel free to reach out in the email in the description box below. And until then, remember to apply to safeties, don't neglect your essays, and try your best during the transfer admission season. You dirt eating, college maxing, fake novel writing, and hopefully accepted one day goobers.